Hey, brand builders, ready to take your brand to the next level? I'm Dana Ammons, and welcome to the Brand Blueprint.
Hi, everyone. I am Cataanda James. I am the co host and beauty expert here on the Brand Blueprints. And today we have our lovely founder, beauty company executive. She's a light to the world, everyone. Her name is Joy, rightfully so. She brings so much joy to our podcast today, to you, and to everyone she encounters. So, everyone, meet Joy.
Hi, everyone. I'm so delighted. And hi, Katanda. Thank you for having me. I'm so delighted to be here chatting with you as always.
Yes, of course. We are so happy you are here today. Took the time to chat with us and to share your insight, expertise to our viewers and followers and to the people out there who are building brands, who are seeking to build brands, who are just wanting to know more about the business of building brands. So we really appreciate you. So we have a series of rapid fire questions, and we like to ask these questions just kind of like, find out more of who you are and just throw them at you quickly so you really don't have time to think about them. Um, and they're just more personal. So, the first one, what's your favorite motivational quote?
I have so many. I have so many. But I would say one that I use often, I remember often, is everything is figure outable. And this is by an author called Maria Folio, right? Yeah, Marie Folio. Yes. So Marie Folio, she has a book called Everything is Figure Outable, YouTube channel that I've been watching for ages, and she really teaches this premise of everything is figure outable. And I feel that's also an ethos of mine, knowing that anything I want to be able to do is figure outable. Whatever situation I found myself, it's figure outable. No matter what, it's figure outable.
Veritable. I love that. Whatever, what is it? No
Everything
matter.
is yes, everything
Everything is
is
figure
figure
outable.
outable. Yes.
Everything is figure outable. I
Yes.
love that. I'm gonna note that to myself. Okay, so next one. What's a go-to song that lifts your spirits?
I don't know who the singer is. I'm sure if I check my YouTube music, I could right now and I check my YouTube music. But
Yeah.
it's this song called what's it? Um Let me try to sing.
Okay.
Who can change your life? Who can make it right? Who can turn the rain and God did it. I think that's the name of the song. God
Ah,
did it. Yes.
God
So
did it.
God did it.
Yeah.
God did it. Who could change your life? Yeah, I know. I
I
know.
love that.
But
I
yeah,
never heard anybody sing, you guys.
I'm sure you don't want to, but I still
Well,
sing anyway.
yeah, I don't think you would be the top choice for BGVs, but it's
But
okay.
that's all right. That's all right.
That is all right. Okay, the next thing, let's see. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what career would you pursue?
I would be that's what I aspire to be, a global keynote speaker. I want to speak all around the world and just do that.
Yeah. I I can see that for sure. And I see that in your future. Yeah.
Amen.
Definitely for sure. I definitely do. Um, okay, so last one. Give us a fun fact about yourself that people don't know.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. I actually, you just got a preview of it, but I always wanted to sing. So when I was younger,
I love it.
I just had this burning desire to sing. And so, which is a fun fact. I mean, it might be a long fun fact, a fun story.
Yeah.
But I lived in Nigeria, and then my mom at church would take me for choir practice in Sunday school. So for me, as growing up, I had this vision that, wow, I was in the choir, every every week she would take me to, and she was a single mom, would take me to choir practice, right? And so when I got older, I remember being in high school. So I was talking to my brother and telling him how, yeah, I can sing. And then my older brother, he then told me, he's like, no, you can't. I was like, yes, I can. I was actually in the choir as a kid. And then he broke the news to me that, did you ever, he asked me, he's like, do you ever realize that you never actually performed? That mommy always took you, but you were always
Oh
you
my
were always
goodness.
in the crowd looking at the others, but you weren't performing. And then I had to pause and think and realize that, true to form, I was never in the choir, but she always took me. And then I asked her, and she told me, she said, you just really wanted to sing.
Mhm.
So, and you really loved it. So she sacrificed all that time
Yeah.
taking me to choir practice, even though even though I was never part of the choir. And so I remember being so upset.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
as an adult, I really appreciated the fact that she did that.
Yeah.
But fun fact, eventually I ended up being in the choir in Baltimore. When I moved to Baltimore, back to
Oh,
Baltimore, my my godmother then told me, she's like, you
yeah.
should be in the choir. And dude, she can sing. My godmother can
Mhm.
sing. She used to do like this dinner theater. And she
Yeah.
told me, yeah, you should be in the choir. And she got me in the choir. And I ended up being in the choir. So my dream came true. So
Yeah.
never allow anyone to tell you otherwise. If you have it in you, do it.
Do it. I love that. That's so funny. So your dream came true. And I think
Exactly.
on that note, I think we're just going to jump right into it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, let's go. So, Joy, first of all, give us an introduction of who you are, what you do, some of the experiences you've held, your own businesses, the executive roles that you hold for other companies. Let us know what's going on.
Awesome. So, a little bit about me. As Katana said, I'm Joy. I'm one of the happiest people you'll ever meet. I'm a brand builder, podcaster, and an ambitious mama of two who truly is on a mission to help people live joyfully no matter what. And for me, when I'm not braiding my daughter's hair or playing snakes and ladders with my son, I am the lead brand innovation and communication lead for Aveeno Body, which really entails developing a concept from soup to nuts. So, developing the concept and then having the product come to life. So, when you see go to the shelf and you see the product, it's people like me who have started, you know, created the idea and then bring it to the marketplace. And I've been doing
Awesome.
that in beauty for about 15 years. And I actually started my career in banking. So I left banking to
Ooh.
beauty because I wanted that feeling of waking up in the morning and absolutely loving what I do. So
Mhm.
I decided to take a pivot after being in banking for about 2.5 years. I was at Morgan Stanley 2.5 years and then pivoted, went to business school because I knew I wanted to be in the beauty industry. I didn't know in what capacity. So when I
Mhm.
went to business school, I fell in love with a marketing professor, not literally, but I just fell in love with marketing in general through a marketing professor who was just very captivating and propelling. And I decided to go into marketing. And since then, I've been at various beauty companies, to name a few, from L'Oreal, Avon, Coty, Revlon, back to L'Oreal, J&J, now Kenvue, because J&J transitioned and became its own entity as Kenvue. And at Kenvue, I'm on the Aveeno brand. So I've had a really enriching career creating products, well-known products that you love, you enjoy, and I love my job. I really love doing what I do every day. And I know you also mentioned I also have side gigs. So I'm a sleep coach. So that's a fun fact about me, which is someone who actually helps parents coach their kids and teach them how to sleep independently. So I do that. I'm a podcaster, which I mentioned, and I'm actually working on an upcoming YouTube channel. So I have my hands full with life as well as the things that I love and I feel I was born to do.
Oh, I love that. I met you when you were this consummate amazing marketeer at L'Oreal. And we've had the opportunities to work on many hair care brands. And that's how I met you. That's where we were introduced. I was able to test a lot of your products that you innovated and created. And I had the opportunity to work on some of your campaign ads. And you're just a delight to work with, but also you know your stuff. And you're about your business. So again, thank you for coming on. Let's get into more, I guess, more of the meat of what you do. So can you share a little bit more about your career journey that inspired you to become a professional uplifter and coach? Seemingly like sleep like a baby, your podcasting, and all of those things.
Hmm. Where do I start? I would say it actually started it actually started when I had a really critical point in my career when I experienced a layoff. So I was laid off from my
Mhm,
job for the very first time. This
mhm,
was in, I believe, 2014. Yes, I think it was
mhm,
2014. And I remember, yeah, being laid off for the very first time. And when it happened, I remember that I had the next day, I had a networking event that I had to go for.
mhm,
So of course I didn't want to cancel. I wanted to go. And I went. And while I was there, I remembered someone coming up to me as you do when you are networking, coming up to me to introduce herself. And then she'd asked me, "What do you do?" And I remember being in that moment actually having nothing to say because I had
mhm,
just been laid off.
mhm,
And so I said, "I'm on a sabbatical." And
mhm,
then she looked at me and then she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she walked off. So two things that occurred to me. A, I didn't have anything that was interesting to say. I didn't have a job. So hey,
mhm.
why should she still keep on standing with me and chatting with me? So she left. But the
Yes.
second, I had to question myself as to why I just said a sabbatical when rather than just saying, "Oh, I've just been laid off." Like, why couldn't
Mhm,
I be honest with who I was and in what journey or what predicament I was in?
mhm,
And then I came to the realization after just asking a lot of questions, asking myself those questions, deep questions, that the reason why I didn't, I wasn't authentic in that moment and I basically lied and said I was in a sabbatical was because I had always identified myself as my job, right? I had
mhm,
identified myself as my title. At
mhm,
that time, I was senior brand manager. I was, relatively young and really feeling as though, oh, I had arrived. And so when I didn't have that role anymore, I remember feeling as though I was no one. Like, who am I now that I don't have this role?
mhm,
So that made me question who I want to be, because if one thing that experience of being laid off taught me is that I'm just a number, right? Like, to
mhm,
any corporation or to any company, I'm just a number. There's nothing special about
mhm,
me. That's just the
mhm,
reality. At least that's what companies see, and it's okay because at the end of the day it's a business. So of course, if you're thinking like a business and you put
mhm,
yourself in the shoes of a company, you realize that
mhm,
hey, they have to kind of make hard choices. It's
mhm,
not personal, and unfortunately you're just one of, you just happen to be in the crossfire
mhm,
with them making that choice. And so if I could not control what job I have in the future, if I could not control if a company will keep me in the future, if I couldn't control that, then why then do I want to now stick my identity and tie my identity to a role or to a title? So
mhm,
I just went on this, I would say, journey of truly
mhm,
trying to discover who I was and who
mhm,
I want to be and who I believe God has destined me to be. And I then read this book called Start with Why, by this author called Simon Sinek. And in it was really a journey as to, a lot of times as human beings we focus on the how, the what, but we don't really focus on the why. And great companies, great brands, a huge part of their ethos or why they're successful is because they have a strong why.
Wow, that was a really important point. Can we hear that again?
A lot of times as human beings we focus on the how, the what, but we don't really focus on the why. And great companies, great brands, a huge part of their ethos or why they're successful is because they have a strong why. You know why Apple exists, right? You
mhm,
know why really great companies that you think of exist. know why Nike exists. Like
Mhm.
their slogan, their ethos is really rooted in that strong why. So I had to, ask myself, what is that why? What are the common threads? What are the things that I know that I do effortlessly? What do people say about me, right? Like what is my brand? I started asking those questions, asking other people who are close to me those questions. What would you say about me? If you had to describe me in 5 words, what would you say? And I
Mhm.
just really went on this journey to discover my why. And I then came to the realization that my why was something that was, I guess, in a way, common sense because it was something that I embodied, but didn't realize or call it a why. And my why is to truly bring joy into people's lives. That's why I was born.
Mhm.
That's who I am. And in everything I do, I want to be able to bring joy into people's lives. So once I discovered my why, I feel that truly helped to propel me in more ways than I could ever imagine. Because every day I ask myself, no matter what situation, no matter what job, no matter what role, no matter what I am doing, I ask myself, am I bringing joy into people's lives? And if I'm not,
Mm.
then that's not what I'm meant to be doing. And if I am, then I am living my why and I'm doing what I was meant to do. So for me, that is like just really having a compass that guides you, right? To be able to say, hey, and for me, I find knowing my compass, knowing my calling, knowing my why has been what truly has helped me across my career, across my brands, across my job, in my daily life.
That that sort of, pretty much sums up and explains, especially for people that do not know you personally. It explains it all of what I tried to say. You just explained it so eloquently here. So now the people really know who you are and the why. I want to get into this sleep like a baby. Um, the name is so catchy. I mean, I want to sleep like a baby. I'm not a baby, but I love to sleep like a baby. So I want to understand, I would like for you to share like what led you to launch Sleep Like a Baby and focus on helping people live joyfully, which the latter part of that question you've already pretty much answered. But the first part, what led you to launch Sleep Like a Baby?
My son, my 5 month old son. And in a way, though, I would say it was actually my daughter. So I have a 12-year old and I have a 5-year old right now. Then my 5-year old was 5 months. So he's my second and he wasn't sleeping. And due to the experience that I encountered with my first. And the experience I encountered with my first was she was my first child, our first child. I remember after 3 months, I had to go back to work. And then I worked in the city. So my commute was 4 days each day. Like I spent 4 days commuting each day. So you can
Mhm.
imagine how exhausting it is. And then you come back home and your daughter isn't sleeping. So that's kind of what I was going through. And I remember then my husband, not even wanting to have her cry. So for him, he was like, "Yeah, let's rock her to bed. Let's do what we need to do so that she doesn't cry and she just goes to bed." And I remember that being a struggle because hey, I'm commuting, tired, and I remember telling him then, I said, "Well, if you want to rock her, but I have to go to bed because I have to wake up early in the morning to start my commute again and do the shebang all over again." So I remember him going through that, having to rock her. I remember there was a time after maybe about a couple of months, he was like, "Oh, I'm tired. My back is hurting me." I'm like, "Yeah, those are the consequences of what we found ourselves in, where we were we wanted to be able to do it for our kid, right?" And so I remember, so when I had my second, I automatically said, "Hey, I'm not going to be sleep deprived with my second. I really want to be able to enjoy my life." I had read this book. It was about French parenting, which was this idea on how kids, like especially French babies, like by 8 months they're sleeping through the night. Not 8 months, sorry, 8 weeks they're sleeping through the night, right? So, and a huge part of it was when I read the book, it was really around how it was about empowering your child to be able to sleep, like knowing that your child can do that, and that the more we act like the child can live without us, we we prevent them from being independent. And the goal is, even with children, right, is that yes, they're in this world, and as we raise them, we're raising them to be independent human beings. That's really our task. Like, we're raising them so with everything, right? And yes, there's a time for everything. So just like when they were younger, they couldn't walk, and then as they start to walk, we don't help them to walk, right? But we help empower them to know that they can do it. So when they find themselves falling, we tell them, no, you got this, and then they learn to walk, right? And it's just knowing that as they grow, as they progress, we're raising them to be independent human beings.
Mhm.
Independent human beings. And ultimately, that helps us all. That helps the child's development, that helps us, and that helps the whole family, so that every family can actually experience the joy of parenting. So for me, that was the impetus in terms of trying to figure out, how do I ensure that my son, who was then 5 months, and I read that the best way to start training a kid how to sleep is wait until they're 5 months, right, and
Yeah.
above, because before that, they're still developing. They still need you. They still need to wake up. They need, right? They still need to feed through the night, all that. So they need you, and that's just the process. But as they start developing the skills, as they start growing, how do I ensure that I give him the tools to be able to sleep on his own? So I remember at 5 months, I took this course by this amazing sleep coach called Taking Care of Babies. Amazing, amazing lady. So I took that, absolutely loved it, absolutely loved all the tools, all the things that she taught. And I was so inspired because I use all her methodology, all the things that she taught. And I found myself in 2 weeks being able to help him sleep through the night.
Wow.
So that was just remarkable because our entire family experienced the joy of being able to sleep through the night. I could go places without having to feel he couldn't sleep on his own. I could leave him with my mother-in-law. I could leave him with my mother. I could leave him with anyone, like literally anyone. And all people kept on saying is, wow, he's such a good, he's such a good sleeper.
Sleeper.
Wow, right? He's so independent. Like it was just such a relief to be able to say, oh, I can feed him. I can give them the food after pumping and saying,
Mhm.
hey, you guys got this. And then I
Mhm.
can go to New York or go somewhere else, go
Mhm.
shopping, like do things, like have a life, and still
Mhm.
know that my baby is being taken care of. They're being nurtured. They're sleeping because they need sleep. So when I discovered how crucial sleep was, how vital it was for us to be able to ensure that our kids could independently sleep, I just wanted to share that joy with everyone. And so after taking the class, seeing the proof of what Kara is her name, who was the founder of that company, or who's the founder of that company, could do. I remember writing her an email. I was in London, maybe into 9 months into my son's year on this earth, writing her an email telling her absolutely love what her program did for me, and I would absolutely love to be one of her coaches. So I remember just writing, the email, the info emails that everyone has, and she responded, and she was telling me how she was really inspired by what I sent her. Unfortunately, at
Mhm.
that time, she didn't have any availability for sleep coaches, but she said if she did, she will want someone who was certified to be a sleep coach. So
Mm.
because I was so passionate and so empowered as to the transformative power of sleep coaching, I decided to get trained. I decided to get certified. And I did this program for about a year, got certified. And literally, once I got certified, she had reached out to me. I started helping her as well in her company. And then I decided to then just go it on my own and
Mhm.
help people sleep, right? Help parents and
Yeah.
families sleep so that they could all experience the joy of sleep as well as the joy of parenting. So that's how it started for me.
That's so amazing. I had never heard of anything of the sort until you told me, and I was like, Joy, what do you mean? Like, you can actually teach babies to sleep? You're like, absolutely. So it's definitely needed. There are not a lot of people that actually even know about this, I guess, service, I guess you could say. And I'm sure, like you said before, there are definitely not a lot of people that are certified in this. I was not aware. And I know just people that have children, kids, from friends, family members, babies that I've babysat, like, kids do not easily sleep a lot of times. So this is definitely a need, and you were able to fulfill a need that I feel like is a huge void. Babies are everywhere, so this is something that needs to be, taught more often. And there are a lot of parents out there that can really utilize this service. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we have some viewers that may decide that they need services, and may find someone in their area or through the internet. And this is very helpful. So the next thing we want to get into is your marketing and brand development experience and expertise. I met you again on a marketing. You were in a marketing role, and I was in a role that actually supported marketing. So we worked very closely together. But share with everyone, like from your experience, what are the foundational elements of building a strong personal, I guess, personal or business brand? Because we have, both. You have your personal brands that sleep like a baby, but you also have your business brands that you've worked with and many corporations and companies. And so share a little bit about that for us.
Yes. So I would say the first is the why, which I'd mentioned earlier, right? Like really understanding what the why is. So be it for the business, be it for yourself, like who are you, right? So if we're thinking of a personal brand, just being able to understand your why. And
Mm-hmm.
the best way is to understand your why is to actually understand what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what a brand is, right? Like what do people say about that thing and that brand when you're not in the room? How do people describe it? How do people
Yeah.
describe you? And that would be that I found that helpful to be able to see that common thread, because the more you're able to ask those questions. And I remember, even I always do this as exercise, and I believe I probably even asked you too, where I would send you a question, what, how would you describe me? And I always like to do that because it could change. I might not even
Yeah.
know that it's changed after some years. And to
Yeah.
really understand, oh, what do people say about me, to then really have that, I would say, brand map of then being able to see common threads and a pattern. And that helps you determine what your, I guess, your why is, and also what are the associations. So just
Yeah.
understanding your why and understanding what the brand associations are. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
those are two things, right? So
Yeah.
understanding the brand's why, also understanding the brand's associations. And then the associations is important because you could also see the positive associations as well as the negative associations. So if they're negative, and that's why it's always, if it's a personal brand, it's good to ask people who are close to you, people who are be honest with you, people who
Mm-hmm.
are straight up with you, because then you really get, it's good to know. Right? Like I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather know if there's a negative association with me, and then determine, okay, if there's a negative association, then what can I do? And a
Yeah.
lot of times when we hear that negative association, as human beings like to do, we want to be able to focus on the negative association. But in my experience of branding people as well as branding products, especially when you're trying to do a rebrand, because I've also had the privilege of being able to work on brands that need a rebrand, right? The best way of being able to get rid of those negative associations is to amplify the positive associations,
Mm-hmm.
not to focus on trying to disseminate the negative associations, just trying to amplify more about the positive. So, and it's the same way I think of when we as human beings think of our strengths and our weaknesses. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times we want to be able to focus on our weaknesses, but I've found, and I don't know whether there's scientific backing. I believe there might be, right? But the more you focus on the positive, and I focus, okay, these are my strengths, these are the things that I have, and this is what I bring up, the more you amplify that, that then shrinks the negative association, right, of
Mm-hmm.
what that brand has. And while the amplification of the positive now takes over that space. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'll encourage: thinking of your why, thinking of the associations, positive, negative. If it's a new brand, thinking of what associations, right? If it's a new brand, you have no history as to what you want that to be. Trying to
Mm-hmm.
determine what then do you want people to think about this brand that you want to be able to
Yeah.
create. Is it an uplifting brand? Is it a powerful brand? Is it like, what do you want people to think and this is, I feel, always find fun, right? Because like
Yeah.
creating something new, and then just having that, writing all those things down, mapping that
Mhm.
out, and that basically is your brand. Like you're creating the positive associations with your brand.
Mhm.
And I did say why, I did say associations, and last but not least, I would say the who, which is the target
Mhm.
audience. And I feel that's the part of what I love most about marketing, is to know that it's not about me. It's about
Mhm.
who I am here to help, right? Like
Mhm.
what is the unmet need? For us, we talk about it as, was the consumer unmet need? What is the consumer looking for?
Mhm.
And this is where I feel a lot of us who are brand builders need to geek out and focus on really
Mhm.
understanding who you're here to serve, not who you want to serve,
Yeah.
who actually needs you.
Can we hear that again?
Mhm.
And this is where I feel a lot of us who are brand builders need to geek out and focus on really
Mhm.
understanding who you're here to serve, not who you want to serve,
Yeah.
who actually needs you, right? Like, what are the pain points? What are the unmet needs? What are consumers
Mhm.
saying? What do they feel they're lacking?
Yeah.
Right, what is out there? Of course, we know what the competition is, because if you know
Mhm.
your why, and you have an idea of what the competition is. But be obsessed, like obsessed with your consumer. If you're obsessed with the consumer, where does this consumer shop? What are
Yeah.
they thinking? What are their struggles? What keeps them up at night? Right,
Mhm.
what would they like to see in the future? Like, just really obsessed, because a consumer, and that helps you understand what the consumer insight is, if you
Yeah.
truly understand who the consumer is. So just geeking out on understanding who you're trying to serve, understanding the unmet need, understanding the pain points, understanding, just keeping the consumer at the center would help, right? Like that's really
Yeah.
why you're creating what you're creating. Is It's not about you, it's
Yeah.
about the consumer. It's
Yeah.
not about you, it's about what the consumer wants.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Consumer centricity is like really big. It's a big part of how I conduct business, but also just who I am in general. I am a consumer. You're a consumer. We're all consumers. But also, when you're on the other side of that, it has to be about the consumer, because without the consumer, you have no business. So you
Exactly.
have to give the consumer what they want, what they need. You have to bring solutions to their concerns and their issues. Otherwise, like, are you really like a help? So I thank you for sharing that, because I feel like a lot of times, just in my experience and working now, especially as a consultant, sometimes people are so passionate about something and they want to create this brand or create this product because it's going to fulfill something within them, or it's going to solve a problem that they have, and they forget about the consumer. So they do everything based on their personal feeling, where they're forgetting the consumer in this. And so I think you have been so very successful because I've seen you work. It's always about the consumer for you. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's really helpful, especially to brand builders that are starting anew. And you have to keep the consumer top of mind. So with
Thank
that,
you,
I
Cassandra.
think you're so welcome. Thank you. So with that said, I know we've talked about you, Joy. Your name is Joy. You exude joy. You shine joy. You bring joy everywhere you go. Can we just get you to tell us, how do you infuse joy and authenticity into your marketing strategies to connect with the audience? And you may have touched on that a little bit, but just kind of focus in on that one little piece of it.
Awesome. Thank you seriously for the kind words. I absolutely adore you. You know that. I absolutely adore you. I would say, as you mentioned, like authenticity, which I'd mentioned, like the why. And for me, I know what my why is. So that helps, right? So having that strong why has been very helpful. And so I do it starting from even within my team, right? Like as we strategize, as we come up with ideas, as we come up with strategies, it's in the process. So I would say when I'm doing it, it's not necessarily always the product of what the final result is. It's
Yeah.
in the process, because there are
Mhm.
these processes, there are these things that we all need to do, but
Mhm.
how we do it is just as important as what we do.
Yeah.
Right. So even though we're creating, I would say we're creating a product for the consumer,
Mm-hmm.
how we do it is also vital, because the how would help would be infused into what ends up happening. We say, even with parenting, and we use parenting as an example, it's
Right.
how we parent helps to infuse the final result that we get in the upbringing of the kid,
Yeah.
right? So it's the same thing with whatever we, and why associated is that when I'm creating something, I'm birthing something, so I'm working on developing something, I'm working on bringing something to life from zero to
Mm-hmm.
not to something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, it's okay about the process. If I
Yeah.
ensure, as my team together, we're all enjoying the process, it's as simple as being in a room starting the day. My coworkers always tease me about this, but especially in the morning or
Yeah.
on Monday mornings, we start a meeting and the first thing I say is happy Monday. Like, I know most people are cringing because they all say it's not happy. I'm not happy. Like, one of my coworkers, she always says that it's not happy. It's
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
And then but I would continuously do that. I would do it in every meeting. I would do that. And like, that's me bringing who I am
Yes.
to the process. And that, as a result, I'm touching people's lives without even realizing that I'm doing that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing, right? And I didn't it occurred to me that how impactful that was when, I would say, months later, I wasn't around. And she then oh, she had moved, sorry, she had moved to another team. This teammate had moved to another
Mhm.
team completely. And then she just messaged me and she says, "Wow, I was in a meeting right now and you weren't there." And then I realized how much I really appreciate when you say happy Monday, even though it's annoying, but it
Yeah.
just brightens up my day. So it's as little as that, is
Mhm.
how do I show up? How do I bring myself to work, to the
Mhm.
process in everything I do? And that's
Yeah.
really how I would say I infuse that in the products that ends up coming to life, right? In the
Yes.
products that consumers then touch, because
Mhm.
it's how you make it, right, that
Yeah.
they end up experiencing without even knowing that that's what they're experiencing. But
Yeah.
that's what, in my heart, I know that's what the consumer would experience. It's how I do it. The process is how I would say I bring my authenticity, as
Yeah.
well as my why to life.
Yeah. You definitely do. And we were just talking about that prior to hopping on here to record this. And I was just sharing that when I met you, that's what you brought, and I didn't know you. You walked in, and wow, such a huge light, so much joy, so much happiness, so much, enthusiasm, excitement, positivity. And so that's what you would do from that point of us first meeting on that project all the way through into today. And so it's just one of those things I don't think can really be taught. It's in you. It's a gift, and that's part of the authentic you. So, we're hearing people say now, especially all over social media, I think it's a buzzy thing where they're like, oh, no one can do what you do, how you do it. And every time I hear that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is Joy to the core. Like, she's the poster girl for that. Because no one can do what you do, how you do it. Because since that moment, you departed from the team, and then I had to work with other marketers, and no one could do what you do, how you did it. So
Oh, thank you,
I truly
Katanda.
do believe bringing your authentic self to the table, and just keeping top of mind, like what your purpose is there. Like there's a million things happening in the world, but we have an end goal here, and the end goal here is to produce a product that the consumers love. And you bringing your authentic self, you would walk in sometimes, and it could possibly have been a really hectic day because in that environment it was hustle and bustle, and it was hectic, and it was 40 people waiting to get the test on, and we only had three people. Three, like,
The
I guess.
joys, Katanda, the joys.
Yeah, and so you would come in, and I would be like, "Oh my God, Joy's here!" And then it just would give me like this refreshing, I don't know, energetic feel that okay, I can do the rest of these 40 people after we've already done 50. So I just know how that is really helpful in a team, and how that helps to keep the team, level headed. It helps keep us on task and focus, and it helps to sort of like, rid us of those anxieties that we may have had, like, oh my gosh, we have so much work to do, we don't have a lot of time, we are like light-handed, short-handed. And so I just appreciate working with people like you. So I think you are like the poster girl for that, and I thank you for bringing that to the table every single time. Like, you don't miss. I mean, you don't have a
Thank you.
day.
Oh, I do. I think you just haven't met me on a
I have not met you. Well, also, you, I wasn't, so we worked together. Like, I wasn't, I didn't directly report to you. So maybe if I don't know, reach out to some of those people, they might have a
They'll tell you. I would say though, I am able to kind of hold my calm in the midst of a storm, right?
yeah,
So I would say that's a gift. It truly is a gift. There's nothing special. I keep on saying there's nothing special about me. There's
yeah,
nothing, right? It
yeah,
really is a gift. And I feel so blessed to
yeah,
have the privilege of holding that gift in that space. So
yeah,
when
yeah,
things are chaotic, I tend to be very calm. To some people, too calm, right? Like to some people,
that,
I've
yeah.
actually had people say it's annoying, right? Why aren't you rushing and why aren't you
Yes,
right in a panic?
yeah.
Yeah, I've come to
That word
realize
helter skelter.
exactly
You used
running
to
helter
use that to
skelter.
me
I know helter
because
skelter,
Hannah is so helter skelter.
but it's one of those, the things I would say hate. I really
Yeah.
hate that. I hate the frantic, the helter skelter perspective, because I would always say, dude, don't bring that, don't pass that hot potato towards me. I really
Yeah.
don't want that. That's your problem, not mine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's because I've found it not helpful. It's not helpful for me to be in a frantic panic. It doesn't
Yeah.
help. It doesn't
Yeah.
help the situation. What I found helpful is for me to be able to calmly think of what do I need to do next?
Yeah.
What is the right, the next best thing I need to do in this
Yeah.
moment? Screaming and hollering and all that. Sometimes I find myself, especially when you have kids, doing that, and I have to remind myself, dude, calm down. It's not that serious. Come back,
Yeah.
right? I apologize and then say, okay, what do we need to do next? What is useful in this moment? And
Yeah.
me running helter skelter, me screaming, doing all that is not useful. And I know
Yeah.
it. So I try
Yeah.
to check myself.
Yeah.
Um, in moments where we all fall short, I
Yeah.
try to check myself. I think the key is how do I rebalance? How do I come back?
Yeah.
Okay, I messed up here. What do I need to do next?
To come
There's
back
no
from.
point beating myself up. It is what it is, right? But it's what do I do next? What is the next best thing I can do in this moment? And so that's what helps me helps bring it back to center to be able to realize, okay, what is useful? And it's not
Yeah.
useful to run around like in a helter skelter and panic. It's not useful. So
My helter skelter, it cracks me up because I had never heard that term until you said it to me the first time. I'm like, what is that? But yeah, that's funny. And you're absolutely right. And I think that's what good leaders do. And so I think the last sort of to kind of like tie out or tie in everything, we are here to encourage, we are here to influence those in a positive way that are building brands. We are there to sort of assist and give them tools as to what you've been dropping on these gems this whole interview, but give them tools to be able to pick up when they are in those helter skelter moments, or they are feeling maybe inadequate where something is not good enough, or they're feeling a little overwhelmed because they have so much work to do and not enough hands. um, do you have any advice that would give the aspiring entrepreneurs about standing out in today's market, or not even standing out in today's market, but possibly before they get to market, what would allow them to stand out? Because there's a whole process, and that's why we're called the brand blueprint, but there's a whole process from start to finish. What is the best advice you would give them?
very good question. Especially since we're talking about aspiring entrepreneurs, I think the best advice so far I can give is that you are the secret sauce.
Mm,
Like you are the secret sauce.
Hey, Eloise, rewind that.
I think the best advice so far I can give is that you are the secret sauce.
mm.
Like you are the secret sauce. I think a lot of times we focus so much on the brand that we're creating or focus on the product that we're creating that we forget that what makes us different is us. Like whatever we're bringing to the table is what makes us different. That's
Mhm.
why a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we start and we think someone has done this before. People are
Yeah.
doing this already. There's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun, right? So, of course, other people have done it before, but no one has done it before. That's you. Like you are the only you that has done that before. Like you're the only you that would exist. You're the only you that exists. You're the only you that will ever exist. There's no one who is going to ever be like you. You are the secret sauce. And so knowing that, then it's okay, how do I bring that to life? How do I ensure that my perspective, my wisdom, my thoughts, my style, like all those things, it's you. Like you're the one who would make that miraculous, who would bring that to life. So you are the secret sauce. So it's really important for you to hone you, for you to develop you, for you to understand your brand as a person. So I would say, yeah, personal branding. And when I say personal branding, I'm not talking about it from this is who I want to be, but more or less introspective. Who
Mhm.
are you? Because I think sometimes that's where we lack the authenticity because
Mhm.
we're trying to be someone that we're not.
Ah,
Right? We're trying to be someone that we're not. We're like, oh yeah, I want to be Beyonce, but you're not Beyonce. And that's okay. That's okay. Who are you?
yeah.
And I truly believe within us, God has blessed us with who we are. Like we just
Mhm.
have to do the work to really understand us.
Mhm.
A lot of times we run for the external, we run to someone else, we run to what we see. We're
Mhm.
so scared to go inside and really see, who am I? Who has God? Ask those questions.
Mm. Yeah.
Who has God created me to be?
Mhm.
What is my purpose? Because once you find that and once you're able to ask those questions, then that's what you bring.
Yeah.
And then you would always feel as though you are working in line with what your authentic self is, which
Mhm.
is more or less what your authentic calling is.
Yeah.
So knowing it's me, I'm the secret sauce. I'm what's going to make this. And I'm not saying that so that because once your brand develops, once your brand grows,
Mhm.
now it's left to you to know that, okay, how can this live without me? Right?
Mhm.
As business owners, as brand builders, we have to also realize that, because I think entrepreneurs, we also fall into this rut of, this business cannot exist without me. This thing needs me. And that's not the intent of building the brand, right? Like you are the secret sauce, meaning that you're bringing the secret sauce to bring this brand alive.
Mhm.
And at the same time, that brand can live on its own. I will still relate it to parenting, right? Like as parents, we raise children, but we are raising them so that they can live on their own. We birth children and we raise them so they can live on their own. To me, it's the same thing as brands that we build or
Mhm.
brands that we create. We create them, we raise them, we nurture them, we bring who we are to that. We
Mhm.
bring our secret sauce, the way we do things to that, to enrich that brand and to bring it
Mhm.
to life. And then we allow the brand to live independently.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. You are the secret sauce. There you have it, guys. If you need a word of the day, you need encouragement of the week, of the year, of the month, just remember you are the secret sauce. Joy says, remember that you are the secret sauce. And that sort of gets back to me saying to you, no one can do what you do, how you do it, because you are the secret sauce. So I would like to say thank you so much, Joy, for coming on today. We need to let the people know how they can reach out to you, how they can view your podcast, how they could view your upcoming YouTube page, how they could, I don't know, you're such an amazing speaker. That's one of the things that we didn't get to or get a chance to speak about. You're on these stages, you're doing, global speaking engagements for your brand, and I don't know, TED Talks, if not yet, they're in the works. Uh, Those are all the things. So someone might need to hire you to come out and speak, I don't know, to their company, corporation, their employees, their team, to kind of motivate them to bring the joy out in everyone. So just tell us your social media handles and everywhere that they can find you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's really such a delight being here. And thank you. Of course, Kansana, you make it so easy to want to talk to you. You
Aw,
also have that air in you, right? The person who I come to can be myself. And it's not that common for us to find people who we can truly be ourselves, right?
yeah,
And so when you do, you just hold on to them because
yeah,
it's not that common. And especially when you're working in, maybe some of us have part-time jobs or we're in corporate America, wherever we are, it is not that common to find people who you can truly be yourself with. So
mhm.
when you do, as I said, you hold on to them. So thank you. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for introducing
Air
me to this
hugs.
amazing platform. I hope this has been beneficial to anyone who has listened. I would say you can find me at Joy, yeah, at Joy Ogunneye. So you can find me on Instagram. Definitely. I know I haven't had a YouTube video up yet, but you can subscribe to my YouTube channel
Yeah.
because it's going to be up. So just look for Joy Ogunneye, the same thing, at
Mhm.
Joy Ogunneye. So that's JoyOgunneye. So you can find me on YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel, and I promise you're going to have some fantastic content coming. You can follow me on Instagram. Definitely DM me. I would love to hear from you. On Instagram, it's the same handle at Joy Ogunneye. My website, you can contact me there as well. It is www.joyogunneye.com. And also follow my podcasts. I have a podcast called Happy Go Joy, which is can be found anywhere, and an old podcast called The Joy in Failure as well, which can be found anywhere. So definitely looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you for the privilege of being here and chatting with you. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for watching. I am signing off with Joy here, and we will see you on some episodes, some capsules, and things to come. But again, reach out to her, reach out to us. You can leave us comments in the comment section if you'd like to have, your questions addressed or answered, or you can slide into Joy's DMs. Her DMs are open. So thank you all, and we will see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Brand Blueprint journey. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms to stay updated. Watch the full episodes on our YouTube channel for an in-depth experience. Don't forget to subscribe to our website at thebrandblueprint.biz for exclusive content and materials. We're everywhere you need us to be.